welcome to another edition of our Paterno Presser. Cory, Geiger, Neil, Rudel. We just finished Tom Bradley's press conference. Now, we've always called this the Paterno Presser, but now this is the Tom Bradley press conference, Neil, the first Tuesday press conference without Joe Paterno, and that in and of itself is just a very strange situation that I know a lot of people are still having a hard time, understanding and coming to terms with.
Yeah, my image of Tom Bradley, and I've known him really, we were both students here at the same time, 1974, and I just think, God, this guy waited, he didn't take, or didn't pursue, or didn't get, or maybe didn't take some other opportunities that came along the way, and I'm looking at him thinking, God, for this to be his first opportunity in the situation he's in, I think he's handled himself very, very professionally. He's nipped any questions that he can't or shouldn't answer. He seems like he has a good grasp on what he wants to do in the coaching, and really tough situation for him, but I think he's handling them as well as he can.
All right, now a fascinating dynamic with this game in particular. You see people joking about this is the Scandal Bowl or whatever, but these are two storied, proud programs that have been major players in college football. Ohio State had the whole tattoo gate, and Jim Tressel didn't survive that, and Penn State has this terrible scandal right now. My question to Tom Bradley, also Miami had the scandal as well. My question to Tom Bradley was whether or not he thinks that college football's image and reputation have been damaged badly by all of these. And he didn't really answer it too much, Neil, but I have to believe that across this country, college football, after these three scandals in less than a year, is viewed a lot differently maybe than it always has been.
It makes you wonder, is this a product? And I can't blame college football for what Penn State is in right now.
Okay, you're right.
But I do think that there's a culture of, there's more pressure in college football than there is in pro football. You can lose 3-4 games in the NFL and still win a Super Bowl. In college football, that's not the same. And I'm sure that some of the product of that pressure, maybe lack of a playoff, but I'm not sure about that, it has helped produce, because these are all under the umbrella of trying to win, trying to protect your brand,
winning at all costs. And that's the problem that people see with this, is from recruiting scandals to agents getting involved. There's so much money. The story a few weeks ago that came out that Penn State football is worth more than $400 million. That's more than many professional sport franchises in this country. And that's where a lot of this comes into play, the money.
Yeah, and I think it's unfortunate, and I think that everybody has gotten sucked into that to some degree. Now, maybe some schools don't necessarily go out and buy players. Maybe other schools, allegedly like this one, had, in order to keep things on an even keel and to try to protect their brand as much as they could, they kept things in-house and weren't as proactive. And again, these are all still allegations, and the story's changing every hour. But it's a big problem when you look at college football, and the essence is you have a lot of kids who really don't necessarily want to be in college, but it's a springboard to the NFL, and that spawns some of the problems. And that's not to excuse the things that are being accused here.
And again, I want to clarify, when I mentioned money is a lot of the problem, that's just in general in college football. Again, as Neil said, that's not necessarily the issue here. So let's move ahead to a little bit of news for this week. Some changes on the coaching staff. Bill Cavanaugh has been named the wide receivers coach. He will handle recruiting. So that's one interesting part. Mike McQuarrie, of course, was the receivers coach and handled recruiting. Silas Redd banged up his collarbone and sternum on Sunday. Is not expected to take any physical contact this week, but Bradley did say he expects him to play.
Yeah, he also said they'll have a tough practice today, being Tuesday, and then he will take the pads off him really for Wednesday and Thursday. So I think he's really concerned about not only the long season, but obviously the emotional fatigue that this team is under.
The big story for this football program all year has been the starting quarterback. It'd be nice if we could go back to where that was the big story. But Matt McGloin is the starter now. There's no more or listed on the depth chart. It's always said Matt McGloin or Rob Bolden. Tom Bradley said it is Matt McGloin. That's his decision. And Matt, of course, played the entire game on Saturday. And one other bit of news that we can look for on Saturday this week at Ohio State, there is expected to be some type of pregame ceremony. No, we don't know exactly what it'll be, and obviously the one here at Beaver Stadium this past week was very moving. Bradley said that there should be something along those lines at Ohio State.
Yeah, he said Luke Fickell reached out to him. They're both interim coaches, and they know each other. They've recruited against each other. And Luke Fickell, they talked about, I'm guessing all the teams will meet at midfield. I don't know that it'll be as inspirational or necessarily as prolonged as the one the other day, but I think that both teams will see a show of support and sportsmanship.
Lots of really noteworthy tidbits out of this, a really newsworthy press conference. Terrell Pryor sent Tom Bradley a text message offering him some words of support, and Tom, of course, recruited Terrell Pryor out of Jeanette. Terrell went to Ohio State, and there was, obviously Terrell had his own situation at Ohio State, but I thought that was an interesting tidbit.
Yeah, also Bradley, of course, was asked about the NBC interview that Sandusky did with Bob Costas.
Cannot believe Jerry Sandusky went on national I can't believe a lawyer would allow that, Neil. What's your thought?
I was surprised, but, he's been hung in the court of public opinion already, and he probably felt, and this is what you're going to get in this case, different decisions that are made and different information that is out there. The query, there's been a new twist to that, but Bradley said he didn't watch it. He has other things to do. He also said he hasn't spoken to Joe Paterno since last week. Bradley fielded a number of those types of questions.
It's all just really sickening. We're less than 2 weeks removed from all this. Since all this started, and it's just hard to wrap your mind around everything. The twist that Neil was talking about with the McQuarrie, he apparently sent an email out to some former teammates saying that he did try to stop, referring to the alleged rapist. And I'll make clear my stance one more time that I've said all along. Mike McQuarrie should have protected that boy in every way, shape, and form. Stay there with the boy, call the cops there, take the boy with him, take him to the cops, call the cops a few minutes later. Maybe Mike McQuarrie did some things there that we aren't fully aware of that didn't come out in the grand jury testimony, Neil, but I still believe he didn't do anywhere near enough to make sure that young boy was protected.
Right. Again, now, Sandusky's story, and supposedly they have that victim as one of their witnesses.
Yeah.
So we just, it's real hard to be really confident in what we may think about each element of the thing, other than, obviously, now Sandusky says they have that victim, or his attorney says that.
What about all
the
the other victims?
prosecution may not.
What about all the? That's the thing. What about all the other victims? I believe the New York Times reported that close to 10 more may have come forward. We'll see if that holds true. It's interesting. A lot of people are making this about just the shower situation. Well, there are other victims and very explicit details in that grand jury report about other victims, alleged victims as well.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, many people are.
Yeah.
It's just, you look back to this whole situation. It's you have a score prediction for the game?
Yeah, I do. I went ahead and picked Penn State. I think Ohio State's very beatable. Penn State's had a real rough time out there. They've never played their best game. I think the fact that they have a full week to prepare with the whole new arrangements. I went ahead and picked them. Penn State 22, Ohio State 17. Maybe there will be some happy moments for a few hours for this program.
And I'll go, I think this is my same score for Nebraska. I'll go Ohio State 23, Penn State 13. Ohio State does have a pretty good defense. I don't think Penn State's offense is just very good. I've said that all year. That's been the case all year, regardless of any of this scandal. And if Silas Redd either can't go or is limited, that changes this Penn State offense even more, because I think the world of Silas Redd. I think that guy is a potential star. So if he's banged up, I think Penn State's offense is going to struggle even more. So, all right, for Neil Rudel, I'm Cory Geiger. Thanks for tuning in.